What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we have a special one for you. I'm finally ready to do the review on this guy. This is the Reate K2 Knife Joker exclusive called their Collector, part of their Collector series. Super freaking cool. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So, this knife was provided to the channel by my good friend Chris Roll Tide, under the Alabama boy. He sent me over some Shiros via Lefty EDC, and this guy, this is the Reate K2, but it is a very special compared to the other ones. Now, the K2 has been out for probably 4 years now or something like that. But this one is super cool, and because it has a lot of differences than the ones that you could just buy, which you can still buy this. I'm going to have a link down in the description. This particular green color, they still had some in stock whenever I saw, whenever I looked it up beforehand. So if you are wanting to get your hands on one of these, now is the time, because I don't know how long it will be there. So the Reate K2, super cool knife in general, but this Knife Joker exclusive, or the Collector series, I guess is what they call it, is even more special. This one is sporting a beautiful green fat carbon fiber. I mean, the camera does not even do it justice. It is a gorgeous. And then, of course, titanium on the backside with the frame lock. This one also has a zirconium backspacer and pocket clip. Now, guys, I like zirconium. I have a few knives that have zirconium on them, and zirconium I like in little touches. I do have the 5th 23, which you guys have seen, that has zirconium bolsters, but they are such fingerprint magnets that much zirconium and on a bolster might not be the best choice. This knife is so awesome and so beautiful that I'm never, I mean, this is, that I can look away from that and look over that. But zirconium, as far as the backspacer and the pocket clip, I think was an excellent move. Now, zirconium is not a cheap material. It is rather expensive, so it does add to the cost, but these are limited knives. Each color has a certain amount, and I don't really know how many were made, but they are limited. They are not numbered as far as I could tell, unless it's on the inside of the scale, which I didn't take this knife apart or anything, but unless it's on the inside of the scale, I don't know. Not sure how many they made. I just know that they are limited. But I mean, I think the original K2 came out in S35VN, titanium, and I think, they had a couple of different variations or whatnot. The fact that they went with the fat carbon fiber is genius. I love fat carbon fiber. You don't see it on a whole lot of knives. And yeah, I think it just looks sexy as hell. Now, because you have one full slab of carbon fiber on one side and titanium on the other, it does not have a liner or anything on the inside. There is a little bit of milling on the inside of the titanium, which helps reduce weight, which is awesome. And so, yeah, as far as M390 and all those materials, you've got a winner. Now, this is a Reate, and you guys know how I feel about Reate. Reate manufacturing is very, very good. In my opinion, the best overseas manufacturer, and you can definitely tell it with this knife. It is running on bearings. The action is super smooth. It's not one of those, some of my Reates are just guillotines, This one's running on bearings, and it is very smooth, but it just takes a couple of shakes, and boom. It does have a very good detent. Like, you can't, I can shake it out if I really give it, but I mean, that's a pretty hard shake, and it's not coming out. I like that, especially with a flipper. I would much rather have a stronger detent than a lighter one on a flipper-only deployment, which is kind of a bummer because I'm not a huge fan of just flipper-only deployments because they get boring to me. However, with the detent on this guy, it rockets out of there, and I love the sound that it makes. It is, it's a Reate-made product, so we all know and love their stuff. I've seen some lighter detents on some Reates, but this one in particular is probably the best detent on a flipper that I've seen from them, or at least been able to handle. Right, I haven't handled a ton, but yeah, I just love it. It does have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as a blade, or a lock bar insert that seconds as a over travel stop. I can't talk, which is always appreciated. The bearings on this thing, I don't know. I don't think that these bearings have been replaced for anything like skips. I think these are the stock bearings. Chris can let us know down below. So action is good. Action is good, especially if you like that, you know, very, really smooth, just a few little shakes and then boom. Oh, I love that sound. It's a little bit dulled compared to some other knives because this full flat carbon fiber scale kind of dulls the sound, you know, rather than, you know, two titanium scale. Have more of a ting, I guess, when that came in there, which I like. Ergonomically, this thing is a win. You do have a very neutral yet shaped handle, which, you know, what? Yeah, so you've got your area here for your thumb. It swells in the middle, and with my large size hands, it goes all the way down and kind of wraps around. This thing is so very comfortable in the hand. Would I like a finger troll so I can choke up? Of course, I always want a finger troll, right? But as far as it being a very slim profile where that blade is nearly gone, you know, you can just see it with the swoop of the forward finger troll there, or the part of the handle. Very neutral, very comfortable. The jimping is done, you know, really well. It's not aggressive or anything like that, but it's pretty deep, so you can definitely bite in. My thumb usually lands above it, which, yeah, it does on a lot of knives. So the jimping, unless I'm holding back here, I'm going to do a stabbing task. The jimping doesn't do much for me because my thumb rides there. And I actually use my knives in saber grips most of the time. Hammer and saber, but saber mostly. It does have a very large, come on, shit. Very large swedge on each side of that blade. And what that translates to is the top of this blade has a very, let's see if we can get it, very thin, I guess, damn it, there we go. Has a very thin flat that goes across. And in a saber grip, when it's really thin like that and you're pushing down on the knife, it might be a little bit cumbersome or, you know, pokey, where it's not as comfortable to really bear down on that knife. I didn't do that to this. I just did the regular EDC task. But I can see with long-term use, though how thin it gets up there, that it could, you know, be a little bit uncomfortable with your finger. I don't think people are going to be using this knife very hard. Maybe the regular K2, because the build quality is there and it can definitely handle it. So ergonomically, I like it. It's not perfect, but I like it, and I like it a lot. One thing I do like is the back spacer here. This is really cool. You see how the back spacer on the top portion here is flush, and then back here it's raised. I think that's kind of cool. I didn't even realize that until today, actually carrying it. So, you know, you don't have anything poking you in your hand if you've got smaller hands or larger hands. Doesn't have anything poking you back here, but in the reverse grip, which is where I believe this jimping is supposed to be for that, you do have grip. Now, it's zirconium. It's not going to really be sharp, and the way they do it is beautiful. It's just not aggressive, but it's enough to where in the reverse grip, it feels really, really good. And then, oh man, I just love zirconium, especially for a backspacer. Backspacers are my favorite because, you know, it's not huge, it has a little bit of weight, but it's still pretty. It is so pretty. So I like the backspacer. We'll get a closer look at that when we turn the camera around and do some size comparisons and some specs. The main thing I like about this blade, though, all that being said, is the blade itself. They have a compound grind, which is hollow here, flat here on the Tonto, and is a hand rub satin. Mwah. I love a hand rub satin. You know, it's just so pretty. It looks beautiful. I like stonewash a lot just because if I'm using my knives, it hides wear. So that's the reason I love a good stonewash. But this freaking hand satin, it's great. The grinds are great. I love the grinds on this thing. The hollow grind is not like really, really deep. It gets about 17 thousandths behind the edge right here. And of course, fattens up on the flat grind of the Tonto. When what that translates to is a pretty good tip, pretty good size tip. I mean, you're not going to be prying with this thing, but it's not going to be dainty if you do have to do any stabbing task into more, I guess, abrasive materials, if you're cutting into a burlap bag of rice or some shit like that. So I like the fact that it's got a little bit more thickness out to the tip. It's just a beautiful, beautiful blade. And of course, I love M390. It's one of my favorite EDC steels because it's just an all-around good steel as far as edge retention and stainlessness. It lacks a little bit of the toughness that I like, but I really only use those kind of blade steels or want those blade steels when I'm really hard using, maybe an outdoor knife or just a real hard user. This is definitely would be a EDC knife for me. It is my size. It is not a small knife. You've got plenty of blade length there that it's just all in one awesome package. So yeah, I did do some EDC testing, and then only thing I'm really gonna do for this is cut a piece of cardboard, because that's a lot of what we do, but I don't want to go overboard because it's not my knife. So we are going to slice, and it slices really well. That hollow grind, guys, I am telling you, is just really well done. Now, we have seen a hollow Tanto style blade grind from Reate before, and that is on this guy. This is the Chavez 229 that has hand rubbed satin, Tanto, compound grind, and look at the blades. Like, okay, so this is the Tonto and this is the Tonto. They are similar, but they're not exactly the same. Like, when I've seen this knife, I saw it first on Jake over at Bearded Gears channel, and I was like, dude, that looks like a Chavez grind. And it does, but when I actually got it in hand and I had both of these knives up, I mean, they are different. I mean, but when I first saw this and didn't have this right in front of me, I was like, whoa, 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 that looks way too similar, but totally different. Definitely got a taller blade on the Reate. We'll use this as a size comparison and others in a second. But yeah, that's my favorite part of this knife, is the blade and the grinds that it has. It is awesome. What is not awesome about this knife? There is a thing. So I like the pocket clip because I love zirconium. I do not care that it sticks out of my pocket this much, because that's how I like to pull my knives out. A lot of people are not like that. A lot of people like deep carry, and I get it, and I've got some deep carry clips that work really, really well. I don't have to have it. So the clip placement and the materials that they use are fine with me. I like it a lot. However, Lefty EDC pointed this out in his video. Definitely go check out his video of this knife. But he pointed out that, you hear that? That it has, it's raised up above the titanium, and it has that ticking sound. Now that drove Lefty crazy. He does not like that at all. That doesn't bother me, because I be honest with you, in regular use, I don't notice that. But what I do notice that does bother me a little bit is when I deploy of course I had to do that. When I deploy the knife and then let it go shut, there is a vibration, a ting and vibration that clip is giving me. That is a little annoying. I will have to admit. Now, on deploying the knife, it's not that bad if you are, right-handed. Your hand's right there on the clip. If you deploy it left-handed, it feels a little bit worse, but it's mainly on the close. I love to close my knives like this, and I can just, it just vibrates. That's a little annoying. I'm not sure if all are like that. It might be, it might not be. This one is just a little bit above it. The tapping, no bother. The vibration kind of is a bother. But that really is the only thing that I have found on this knife that I didn't like when I carried it. Everything else I love. Reate, check. Marbled carbon fiber, check. And now they made this in quite a few different colors, by the way. You had lava, which is the red. You had blue, you had white, you had purple. I don't know how many of those are still in stock. I do know the green one was in stock. So link down below, guys, if you want this thing, jump. But yeah, let's go ahead. We're going to turn the camera around. We're going to get some specs and some size comparisons, get a better look at this blade and fat carbon fiber. So let's do a boom. Okay, so look at this, guys. If you've never seen fat carbon, this is an excellent representation of what it's supposed to look like. It's beautiful. The patterns, all of it's going to be different on every single knife. It's just excellent. And you can kind of see there the green and the black. God, I've got to get better lighting in here, guys, because it's messing with my damn focus. But yeah, I just love that. It just is a wonderful choice for this knife. And then, of course, look at that hand satin. Oh, I love hand satin. They did a really good job. It's a belt satin, of course, on the flat grind. Oh, but this right here, it's just sexy. And then, of course, that wonderful hollow grind that gets really thin behind the edge. Excellent. Oversized, just regular satin hardware. I think it's okay. I was kind of thinking earlier that it might have looked better with PVD coated or so hardware, but then I really rethought that, and I was like, no, because of the satin of the blade, and the satin hardware does go good with this. Very smooth titanium on the backside. I have seen some of their models where they have kind of like micro milling. That probably would have been cool to see some micro milling on this side, but not a big deal. It's just a beautiful, beautiful blade. Now, it's big. Not gargantuan, but it's big and it's my size. How big is it? It's about 8.87 inches overall. So yes, it is a large knife. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not. Close length is about 4.8. You have a cutting a blade length of 3.9. The cutting edge a little less than that. It weighs about 4.65 ounces because it does have a little bit of internal milling in there, and the carbon fiber, of course, is so light. So for nearly a 4-inch blade and weighing over 4.65, I think that's really great. I mean, not every knife, most knives do not have that ounce and inch, ratio, but this is pretty close, and I think people are going to like it. It carried really well. I didn't feel like I had anything big and bulky in my pocket, but of course, you have to take that with a grain of salt because I carry things like, this guy in my pocket. So if I can carry this, I'm really not going to matter about that, right? So take that with a grain of salt. Let's get some size comparisons, shall we? Let's get the PM2. PM2, let's get it a bit butt to butt. Just a tad bit longer. PM2, I can't remember exactly how long that is, but I think it's like 8.3. I don't remember. But as far as the overall length, it is just a little bit longer. Width, it's pretty close. You get a little bit more going on there. But as far as the tallness of it closed profile, you definitely have a better profile in your pocket because if you're, that big old spidey hole. So if you've carried a PM2 and it's not been a big deal, this one is going to feel excellent. Other size comparisons, go ahead and put that Reate made Chavez 229 out here. The Chavez, definitely a thicker boy, but it is not as long, got a little bit shorter of a blade there. So this thing is so sturdy, well built. I love the Chavez 229 made by Reate. These are pretty comparable as far as the blade shapes and the way that they are ground. I love it, guys. These two knives, this gets a little bit thinner because you have a taller blade, but does it perform wonderfully and look, it's like a dream. Just because I haven't brought it out in a while, here is the Spartan Knives Pallas, however you want to say it. They are pretty close to overall length and thinness of the profile. Of course, this is a button lock S35VN, and of course, a stonewash blade, which I really do like for my worker knives, but you just cannot beat, guys, a hand satin. I'm just drooling over this thing. It is so freaking pretty. So, yep, let me show you this. Okay, so 2 Reate made knives, titanium frame locks, right? So, gosh, I should have done this the other side of the camera. So the action on the K2, shake shut, super duper smooth. Now watch the action on the Reate made 229. So definitely got smooth, good action on both. But this is kind of the difference that you can see. Oh my God, I can't talk. The drop shuttiness really controlled smooth here, where this one is not as drop shutty, but is just as smooth. So yeah, I have to just point that out. If you're looking for that, Reate does absolutely make a drop shut knife. And oh, geez. And you can hear the difference between two titanium scales and the carbon fiber there. You hear that? That's a louder ting when it sucks it back in. I kind of like that. But of course, this is a lot heavier than something like this. So, yep, guys, I love it. Can I recommend it? Absolutely. Definitely go pick this guy up if you are able to. Now, it's not cheap because these are very limited runs. It is around $445 for this knife. But keep in mind, you're getting fat carbon fiber, zirconium, M390, and just a wonderful blade made by a wonderful manufacturer. So definitely not on the cheap side, but I think well worth it to have in the collection. If this thing had another means of deployment, I would probably go out and buy one. I just get bored with a flipper-only deployment, but that is personal preference. I know a lot of people who just have to have a flipper, and I respect that wholeheartedly. I like thumb studs more than a flipper, and then a hole above all. So anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by, checking us out. Go give Titanium Addiction 1970 a follow. Chris is such a good guy. He's been really good to me in the channel, as well as Kevin and Jake over at Lefty EDC. He stops by our live stream, which is on the edge. I don't know when this video is going to post, but it's every other weekend. It goes back and forth between mine and Lefty's channel at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. So definitely I will post a community post before it happens and all that stuff. So definitely go check it out and say hi to Chris there as well. And roll tide, Chris. You are the man for letting me check these things out. I can't thank you enough, brother. Stay safe, guys, in this crazy world that we are living in. And we will see you in the next one.